Hi Capricorn, here is a general look at your solar chart for April 2016. Change affecting the base of operations, or maybe it's change affecting family members or neighborhood, or the sort of the community around you, or the tribe. And there, up until the 12th, there's some shifting around, maybe some internal sort of shifting as well, and being a little bit more sensitive there. There's going to be a new moon in your home area, or to say a base of operations, an HQ. So you can be at home, you can be away, but there is a changeable, restless feeling there, you see. This new moon, which is neutral in itself, is conjuncting Uranus, and also going across the degree of Pluto, but there's a very stabilizing light coming in from your ruling planet Saturn. So it's quite a nice mix, actually. So this new moon at the root of your chart means that you should be flexible, expecting the unexpected. Now, this isn't necessarily right actually where you're living. This is in the neighborhood as well. It can be the very room you're in, if you're in a room at the moment, or the actual living space, but it can also be the wider sort of neighborhood, the area that is you would call your kind of neighborhood, or it might not be like that at all. It might be to do with family members or extended family. This feeling of change, having to hang loose, be flexible, adapt to these crosswinds blowing through here. And this is definitely a time to show your unique individuality, to shine your originality out to the world, and to enjoy that uniqueness, something to do with the family or where you're located, maybe through that area there. And because we have such a supportive aspect coming in from Saturn, then that allows you to feel that there is this security there somehow or other, and then you can do this building. There's quite a progressive vibe with this, and so you can do the building towards something, or maybe more than one thing that you've been hoping for quite a while. The thing about the new moon is similar to the eclipse in that it unpackages itself over the subsequent month. So that will be until the next new moon. So that will be from April the 7th onwards. And if you happen to know where your sun or planets are, or important points in your chart, then that's happening between 15 to 23 degrees in particular, but it's of course going to be covering the whole of the sign. And then we also do have a certain amount of confusion, sort of fogginess, foggy thinking, confused thinking, uncertainty, globally. I think this will be applying to all signs everywhere. You got Mars in a very background area actually at the moment. So this is an area where I call it the chrysalis area. It's private. It's internal. It can be emotional as well, but there's a lot going on because it's Mars. It's also to do, and Mars likes to be busy wherever he goes. In any of the 12 houses, Mars likes to be busy, but busy according to the character of the house. So this can be a little bit like, a closed sort of place which you volunteer, because you're in your artist's garret, or you're in your healing sanctuary, or you are actually, could be something to do with therapies or medicine, something along those lines, but it might not be at all. It might be something educational. It might be something where you go to a very sacred spot, to commune. But it is definitely not your normal noisy run-of-the-mill material world area. It's a protected sort of, like a nature reserve kind of area, or a castle, a fortress area where a group of people might be Even on the internet, we're a group of people who've got particular, they are devoted to certain maybe beliefs or ways of being, or they're trained in a certain kind of way, which does separate them from the rest of the world. That just in the type of interest or work that they're doing, not in other ways. So there's me speculating a little bit on what kind of thing it would be. The thing is, with Mars there, which is your 12th house, it can mean a sort of drop in outward energy, because the energy is very directed inwardly. So it's inward towards your emotional sensing and your intuition, but also background things going on in the wings, out of the public eye kind of thing. Right. So we have that. Now we have got Mars going over the degree of Neptune. This is for all the signs. So that's where I think the uncertainty might come from. But if you are putting ego on one side, desires on one side, and working for something bigger than you, or somebody more needy than you, or just somebody needy, we're not making comparisons particularly, then you are meeting the criteria of this Mars-Neptune aspect. It's pretty cool actually to do it like that, because you are going over and above the call of duty, but don't make it a lifestyle choice, because you do need to be giving yourself the energy in your life as well. But maybe just temporarily somebody needs to lean on you a bit more. However, you could find yourself leaning on somebody a bit more during this aspect as well. And then this uncertainty continues, because as that aspect wanes in the second half of April, we have Jupiter opposite Neptune, or rather, Jupiter opposite Neptune. So we have Jupiter going over the degree of Neptune. They're crossing the degrees, and you have to try and separate the real from the ideal. Who do I believe? That kind of feeling, whether that's in any area of life. What is truly most useful here? What is serviceable? What is practical, rather than these fine words, which are very convincing and persuasive perhaps to some, but are maybe too far out to be of any earthly use, that kind of thing. So it's a time when it's easier for people, that's including you and me, to have the wool pulled over their eyes. But you've had a heads up on this, and you will be aware of that kind of thing going on, or something hidden, maybe that nobody knows, but you've got a nose for it. You're kind of sniffing it out, maybe, because you know that there's these rather sort of these kind of waves of fog coming in over the second half of. There's lots of other aspects going on, but there's just that there, and it's a little bit spacey, It can be. It can actually be connected to something which takes you a little bit out of your ordinary physical sense of yourself as well. Neptune, not for nothing is Neptune associated with drugs and alcohol, but there are other ways that you can be that you can get into like that sort of meta or superhuman kind of. Now, speaking of superhumans, sort of metaphysical. Speaking of superhuman, try not to be superhuman during this phase. All you want to be is a practical help, maybe it's like that. But stay away from pie in the sky sort of things, and just be a warts and all human, really, who is, trying to help out. Perhaps it's going to be like that. Or perhaps you're not helping out, but you're just being yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. And at the same time as we've got Jupiter and Neptune, we've got Saturn in hard angle to Jupiter. So that is a stabilizing influence. That is, cause for cautious expansion, steady as you go, watch your step, but be cautiously optimistic. There are some progressive trends in here. There's no doubt that new moon conjuncting Uranus is bringing a progressive theme, but it's like, just watch your step, steady as you go during this phase of it. Then we have transiting Uranus, Pluto and Venus crossing each other's degrees in the late month. That is more meaningful connections with others. This is something which is more maybe touching your feelings more. You are moved, but also others may be moved, maybe by something that you are saying or doing, or maybe not. But that's a time when there's more involvement emotionally. There's not so much a detached sort of feeling, and that's in late month. That'll be in the last. That'll be in the last around about a week of the month. 10 days of the month. Okay, so so we have a lot of emphasis on the base of operations, or to do with extended family, tribal links. So that doesn't have to be physically within a community. That can be people on, on the net. That can be those that you have a sense of belonging with. Okay, so that's a theme there. Discussions around it, because of it, within it, and then even paperwork as well, that kind of thing. Communications, and then Mercury moving out of there on the 6th and going into a more fun area. We have more access to kind of fun sort of environments, entertaining environments maybe. Venus is in up until the 6th in a very sociable sector, and she is in the area of communication, so you can be very persuasive. There's ease and flow and fluency with what you're communicating. People are maybe liking what they're hearing from you, and you're liking what you're hearing from certain others. Then Venus moves out of there, and entertainment as well. That's another possibility, and creative self-expression. But then Venus moves out of there on the 6th and goes on into the root of your chart. This is nice. This is a nice one. This can manifest in various ways, but it harmonizes your feelings. It tends to. Is that if there's a feud to lay to rest, that can happen. That's until on into May, this one. Just about into May, yeah. You being the host somewhere else, the guest somewhere else, you being the host for somebody to come and visit you more, this feeling of appreciating people on HQ or wherever you're located, whether it's at home or not, or the surroundings, you valuing those. And then I've mentioned Mars to you being in this inward area, and this is a time for you to understand your patterns, your reactions, or try to understand them, and you're more affected. You can be more easily affected by outside influences, so just be aware of that, and maybe put a little bit of shielding up if you feel it's necessary. Mars underpins practices like yoga and Tai Chi, and like light working, energy working, and you being involved with that maybe a little bit more as well. This is a long transit of Mars. It's going to be in there till late May. It'll come out for a while, and then it'll go back in again later on in the year. The Sun moves on the 20th into a more fun sort of area there, along with joining Mercury, going into a more fun area. So playing around with ideas, feeling a bit lighter in your mental outlook, really. And still all of this, still kind of this overall lack of certainty around, though. Right, so then we have Saturn in the sign before yours. This is you maybe harking back to the past, maybe needing to tie up loose ends for the past. Maybe it's a common cause. Maybe it's something bigger than you are. Maybe you understand that you just are like a cog in the wheel or a pawn on the chessboard. But even though that's what it is, it doesn't matter, because you know that your input is vital. And even if you don't know your input's vital, it probably is. So yeah, that's the way Saturn is, and also you working steadily on things behind the scenes and in the wings in order to prepare for that time that Saturn comes into your sign at the end of 2017. Those Capricorns born the 6th to the 7th of January or 14 to 17 degrees rising are going to feel this energy the most. Also, things around health could be going on, and you've got to kind of work at it and stick to certain routines. Jupiter will be working out of his own house, so that strengthens him that in your solar chart, and you'll have the opportunity to push the envelope, to learn and grow. This is a great one for you, Capricorn. Maybe more travel, maybe reading more widely, maybe entertaining ideas really outside of the box, like way out there, and it's like, interesting. Also, there could be just those sorts of things happening to you as well, because Jupiter is about learning through doing. So having events and circumstances which make you start asking questions about things which had eluded you before. And this is a great vibration for anything like I'm doing here, broadcasting in any kind of a way, communications, education, media, politics, the law, publishing, and anything in that communications sector. You Capricorns born the 2nd to the 6th of January or with 12 to 16 degrees rising are going to feel that energy the most. And then just to mention Uranus, which is going to be very much triggered by the new moon on the 7th. That's for you Capricorns born the 8th to the 13th of January, and with 19 to 23 degrees rising, feeling the energy the most. And then Pluto, you Capricorns born the 7th to the 9th of January or 17 to 18 degrees rising are to feel the energy the most. And of course, Pluto is in your sign, and so for you guys, 7th to the 9th of January, or just a little bit on either side of that, or 17 to 18 degrees rising, you will be feeling this this need to be who you really are. And part of this program that's running here with Pluto is that you need to find that layer that you feel most comfortable with, and you will choose to be, okay, this is what I really want to be now. And it might be several layers down. And we get the wrecking ball coming in and stripping away the layers, or rather kind of crashing through the layers maybe, but that's a bit too heavy. I would say a bit like peeling an onion. It is really, you know, and sometimes that sting can get in your eyes and those tears come down. And that's it anyway for April. If you know your rising sign or your moon sign, listen to those. The material is written up on DianaGarland.com. The bones of the material is written up there. And I'll see you the next time.